I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Township of Lopatcong, today being May 31st, 2016, the time 7 p.m. The call to order, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, by advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times, and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Moment of silence and prayer. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Del Caro, Councilwoman McCabe. Here. Councilwoman Schneider. Here. Council President Pryor.
Here.
Mayor McCabe.
Here. Okay, this is a single-purpose meeting to discuss the 2016 budget. So we will, I guess, open the meeting with some comments. I haven't seen a lot of this. I didn't see this new summary, so I'm going to have some questions on this. This wasn't ready before.
That's from, that's mine.
That's yours.
It's in agreement with what you've been presented. It's just a lot fewer pages than,
Yeah, have these been tweaked, any of these?
no, it's the exact same document that you have that the CFO presented you, only it's condensed to salary and wage and other expense.
I only got a 2-page Excel spreadsheet.
2-page?
Yeah. I mean, no, what was presented to me before yours is only a 2-page Excel spreadsheet, one for expenses and one for revenues that was emailed.
Okay. Do you have more of these?
Yeah, actually,
Not
that we have one actually on here.
Two.
Actually, if you went to the Excel spreadsheet, you would actually see that it lists down. Pages go across and down. You all you had to do was maneuver your mouse, and it was all there because everybody got the same one. Did yours register properly when you got it done?
This whole,
Didn't know.
well,
Yeah,
these are all they're all one-liners, so.
Yeah, that's
then-
the way the budget is on the computer as per last year.
Right, so this is equivalent to 2 Excel spreadsheets, 2 pages, because I maneuvered my mouse and I didn't see it, but yeah, it didn't appear to be this big.
Well, we had also a copy available, Beth was here, and copy was available by the mailbox.
Yeah, I wasn't here, so.
But we all got the same email,
Yes.
and I got the whole list.
Right.
There's more than 2 pages there. It's a matter of scrolling down or So I do have are you guys going to start? We'll let you start first.
I can do that?
Okay. Before you start, John, if you don't mind, I'd just like to say something. You know, I'm not here to play games or anything, but we did get this budget Friday night before leaving, but Friday night at the end of business. And 2 days to look at this entire budget is impossible. It's just not sufficient. There were no budget owners present over the weekend to talk to, even if I was available. They should be here, budget owners, to discuss this and talk about theirs, since I wasn't present for any of it. On the Finance Committee, I wasn't present for any of the meetings. I wasn't even allowed to pre-see the budget, although other folks were. So I don't think that that's fair. It's playing games. It's a lack of transparency at its best, and I can't be a part of this meeting. I won't be a part of this meeting. So I'm going home.
You know what? Your duties as a councilwoman is at least to sit down and listen to the reasonings. I mean, we all received this Friday night, Donna. And no, nobody's going to come in and do overtime on Memorial Day weekend. So you're shirking your duties, but you do what you like, as you do anyway. The rest of us will try to do the job we were elected to do. Have a nice evening, Donna. It's really uncalled for, Mr. Mayor.
I think she's concerned that she cannot properly perform her fiduciary duties.
Well, she could listen to our CFO and our auditors, at least, at minimum. We are all present here to do this together. So again, she's made her decision. We've got work to do.
If, I could say something for the record, I did get the materials the same time everybody else did. Everybody got the same blast email together. I did make an effort to come in several times on my own and sit with both John and Janice and informally discuss things. That I did. Everybody was free to do that. So I'll say that much.
And I'll say as a follow-up, I asked Beth to provide me a printout, and she came in and she had other work to do. She gave me a printout. So, I mean, you know, we're all in this together. So, you know, just walking out the door is really not contributing at all. Yeah, if you didn't have a chance to look at it, yeah, it's a lot. Look at this thing, guys. It's like 1.5 inches thick. Yeah, it's a lot. I agree. But, you know, we could make an effort to look at a few pages, maybe a few questions, and then let's listen to the rest. And then I mean, Dawn has input all the time. I'm sure she could have given us some input, but she has taken that opportunity away at her decision. So let's continue.
All right. Yeah.
I think John was going to speak, Mayor.
Yeah.
He should talk about.
Can you give us a quick summary
Yeah,
and
synopsis?
what all this?
Sure. This doesn't have to be the only budget meeting that we have either. I mean, what Janice has put together to this point, you're sitting with a document tonight, and I'm going to go into it a little bit. It's compliant with both levy caps, or the levy cap and the expenditure cap. We got it to this point. It was a struggle to get it to this point. Now it's up to you collectively to decide where you want to take it from here. Tonight doesn't have to be the only meeting. This is the launch point. Okay? This is where we finally first see the budget, and now we come back with questions. We have questions tonight. We take it home. We digest it. Budgets are a big process. You know, if we have another meeting about this, just another special meeting in 2 weeks to discuss it further, you know, I'm available for that. We'll come back in and we'll beat it up a little bit more. This isn't the end of the process. This is still close to the beginning. But as it stands right now, you are currently compliant with both the expenditure cap and the tax levy cap. You are about $80,000 under the expenditure cap, and you are right at the tax levy cap. And in layman's terms, what that means is if you decide to add any expenditures at this point from here on out, you have to do it through a vehicle other than increasing the tax rate, because you're right at that tax cap. Okay? Again, I don't know. We do not have guidance as to where you thought the tax rate would be coming in. So if this tax number, you know, blows your mind, you got to forgive us for that. But remember, this is a series of cuts. Over last year, the tax rate is a 4.6 cent increase over last year's rate. Last year, you saw a 2.2 cent increase. Okay, what that means to the average local taxpayer. An average local taxpayer is assessed approximately $231,000. They would see an increase of $110 for the year, or $9.20 for the month. That's as the budget stands right now. Now we go through line by line. If there's things you want to cut out, if there's things, you know, now we're at that point. If you want to reduce the tax rate from 4.6 to 3.6, 1 penny on the tax rate, you'd have to cut $86,000. Okay, so I don't know where the governing body wants us to take the rate to. There are factors involved that bring us to where the rate is now. There were some ideas, there were some thoughts of reducing some revenues, you know, that's just taking some, instead of taking so much from the sewer surplus, we want to wean ourselves off of that. That's factored in here already.
However, what you did do is they had a lot of salaries and benefits into the sewer budget, which more than offset what was taken out.
We've captured expenses now in sewer, like CFO time, collector, like treasurer's time, Rachel's time.
That's okay. That part's okay.
Right.
But the amount of benefits, I think with $99,000 benefits on $65,000 of salary, that's
why
I agree.
that's good.
I think it's more than 65. I think it's almost 100%.
Again,
but
that's the purpose of tonight's meeting.
65 new money.
Okay, if we want to reduce that and bring that back into current fund, you're going to be over on your levy cap.
No, we won't. Well, no, this is what we can do, and I've already discussed part of it. I've spoken to the chief of police, and we're going to take $100,000 out of police overtime.
Okay.
All right.
And I don't know if you want to go through this all now, or you want to go line by
That's a
line?
major item, so.
I agree.
I tell you what, can we hold off on that discussion a little bit? Just a little bit? Why not just set up some other things?
Well, I mean, this is one thing that can help us immediately.
And I'm not.
And then we
I
can
agree.
afford to buy the police cars, because I don't want these guys going out and broken up cars.
But
So
then
he'll
when-
take the 100,000 off the overtime spoke to me.
Okay.
What I was going to say, this thing has a lot of moving parts. And some
Absolutely.
parts look worse than others.
Absolutely.
You have a 4.6% increase. It's close to 10%. But if you look at expenditures over expenditures, it's only 4%. Then you go and you look at amount to be raised by taxes, that's close to the 10%. So there's some things we can control, some things we can't control. If we can lose $100,000 in overtime, I support that.
We had a long discussion. Apparently, most of it, which is what I thought, were the cops watching the roads while the sewer work was done. That was most of the overtime. So
We're supposed to get that back from the contractor.
well, it's not reflected that way. We do get it back from the contractor, but we pay the contractor. So
Yeah.
But we do get it back. I assume it should, maybe it should be netted to make it look like.
All right.
All right. So that's so. And if we can, then we can buy the 2 police cars. And we're also hiring 3 new policemen. So that'll reduce overtime because we'll have more cops that are full-time. And it'll also serve to, to need for the 2 police cars. Yes.
Maybe I can address my understanding. The chief left, so a couple guys get pumped up. So really, one guy is just replacing the chief full-time.
Yeah.
Then we're getting another cop, and that would be paid for by Phillipsburg under our agreement. And then there's a provision for 2 more. They're not half-time, they're part-time police, different class of officers. And I believe Phillipsburg's going to be paying for one of those. Yeah, so it's a net of about a half the cop.
Well, because there's some reason to have the other guy. You have him full-time.
Yeah, so it's not as bad as it sounds,
Yeah.
but
But I think, we can get the 2 cars. I think he wanted 3.
Do we need 2?
well,
He says we do.
again, here's my understanding of the discussion is he could survive with 1, but if 1 goes down for service or repair, then you're going to have an officer either riding double or sitting around. So he needs that second car for his flexibility.
I think that's a high expense for flexibility.
Well, if you,
Keep our cars-
I mean, this is all discussion, open
Well, okay,
discussion.
I agree.
Yeah.
Aren't we leasing our cars? We're not buying them, right?
We're leasing, we're a lease program.
We have some now, but
So you're not talking about to purchase outright, are you? Why can't we just lease more? Because
that's more of the time.
Mine, I think the leasing almost was as much to purchase
Yeah.
the car as I looked at.
Yeah, John still took that already.
I'm assuming they're on the road and you get.
Well, let's look at the
high
numbers
penalty,
and make
right?
sure, because, you get that new car out the door, it's 10,000 less. You lease, you get a new car every what, 3 years?
Yeah, I don't know if that's, I don't
We're
know.
paying $25,000 a year.
Well, how much is a new car?
25,000.
A brand new car? No, to buy? And what-
No, I think he's spending more than that by the time he gets them.
I can't buy a car for 25,000. Wait a minute, and you're gonna load it up with radios? It's gotta be more.
There's a difference here too between a regular police car and a specialized police vehicle, a 4-wheel drive car.
Oh, yeah.
4-wheel drive could be done outside into the capital section, and it won't affect your expenditure caps. Right? If you decide to enter into the lease of a couple of vehicles, regular police cruisers, that has to happen inside the cap. You still have room, you still have the 80,000, but again, that puts you in a position where you're up over the levy cap now. If it's a capital expense, that's a levy cap exclusion. So you'll get the benefit of not, it's there, it doesn't affect your levy cap.
And my understanding is he wants at least one SUV, which he has pointed out to me, which is with the base, and I'll say start, you're right, the lights and everything else, not included, the music computer, was, he said, about 40 delivered. And then you have to get it decaled, and I think you get the lights.
Up
and-
quick, painted.
Yeah.
You're looking more than
Sirens
40.
and whistles,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we got 10, 12 years out of
And maybe just to elaborate on the sewer, I understand the allocations made. You have a tax collector who spends X amount of time on sewer bills. We have about 5% of the public works department. That's not a big number. Janice spends some time. The allocation of the benefits did seem to be out of whack.
Okay.
And I understand that we also have to make some of these allocations to satisfy the cap. But maybe we could look at the way that money
We
is
can
spread.
revisit that money.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say about sewer is the entire sewer budget at this point, and this is, sewer, let's save sewer for a little later, right? But the one thing I'll say is, you're not using any surplus money to fund the sewer budget. It's all based on rents, all based on sewer collections for the year, offset those costs entirely. The only piece of surplus that you're using is half of what we were using last year in the current year budget. Okay, so we went from 125, and we went from 375,000 last year, bringing that in to help support the current budget, down to 200,000 this year. Okay, so we cut that drastically. That's 175,000 reduction from what you used last year. But there's no other surplus money being used right now in sewer. The only revenue source in sewer are the actual rents. Okay, so I don't want you thinking that we're taking all the surplus, then we're using more surplus in sewer. We're weaning ourselves off.
Come down a little bit.
Okay?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Go ahead.
It's come down kind of low. I was thinking, I know we're trying to drop our use of the sewer revenues. I get
Right.
that. But last year, did we do 375, and now this year you're dumping it down to 2? Couldn't we up that to maybe 250, 300, and gradually wean ourselves off of that instead of such a drastic?
These are all options that are on the table.
Yeah.
There's really two components to that. There's the money from the sewer from 214 that's left over. You
Okay.
can use it in the second year.
Right.
And then there's the transfer from the current year.
Correct.
So 375 was, I think, 250 plus 125.
250, 120.
And how does it break down this year? It's 150 plus 50
125 and 70.
plus 75. So that's how the numbers go.
I mean, if we could increase, I know we want to eventually stop using it, but we're taking such a short cut right off the bat.
Well, maybe this is one where you and I just aren't on the same page here.
Okay. All right, there's lots of moving numbers. So.
Yeah, there are. And what I wanted to say about that, I mean, my own goal is we really should have a renewal and replacement surplus in the sewer utility account, something that could withstand, I mean, nowadays we get a break in the street, we can spend $50,000 on it. So I would like to see the rest of this year used to build that up, and then we're really going to be facing on budget in 6 months. I'd like to look seriously at a sewer rate cut.
We talked about this last year. Right?
Well, the only thing, and again, I'm just here to speak my piece and caution you, if you're looking to lower the rents but increase the surplus, those two things are going in opposite directions.
They are.
I understand that,
So-
and we compromise this year. We're probably going to have to compromise this year, but I'm laying out what my own objectives would be.
Just a few notes on revenue before we get into expenditures and looking at other lines. The fund balance that we anticipated this year was $300,000 as opposed to last year it was $150,000. We have to increase the deferred school tax to get it to that level. If we don't, we take the 150 out, and now you're even in a bigger hole. You have to understand, when you take one revenue off, you either have to find the money somewhere or raise it through taxation.
Why don't you explain?
Do you want me to explain?
School
Okay.
tax again for everybody.
Deferred school tax, you collect money for the school. School year is different than your year, okay? Your year runs from January 1st through December 31st. you collect taxes in 2015, you collected the school district's 2015-16 school year taxes. So by the end of the year, you've collected all those taxes for the school district. Okay. What the state said in all their infinite wisdom years ago was that you don't have to reflect that as an accounts payable because you're going to pay the money over, and it would be harmful to your fund balance if you listed that number as a payable. So what we'll allow towns to do is we'll allow you to defer up to half the levy, because that's the second half of the school year, you know, January 1st to June 30th. We'll allow you to defer that. And what that does is it takes a liability off the balance sheet in the school taxes payable, and it holds it there in the notes. And when you take that liability off, your owner's equity or your fund balance goes up. It's an inflator of fund balance, and you're allowed to increase, again, that deferred school tax by half of the school tax levy. All right? By increasing it 150,000 this year, you still won't be completely, you'll be almost there, but you won't be completely there. And it means nothing different from an accounting standpoint at the end of the year. You still owe the school district their money. Janice is still paying them once a month or whatever the monthly setup is. All right? It's just calling it something, it's a different mechanism to take it off as a liability off your balance sheet and call it deferred school tax instead of school tax payable. In order to do that, you have to do it by resolution. It's the only thing the state asks you to do. I have 6 municipalities. 5 of them have a deferred school tax. Dover is the only municipality I have that does not do a deferred school tax. But this is the nature of municipal budgeting, where if you need surplus, this is one of your mechanisms to increase your surplus. If by chance, and I'm sorry, if you ever had an operating deficit in your current fund and you reflected that on the annual financial statement to the state, they would look at it, and the first thing they would ask you is, have you increased your deferred school tax to the maximum? If it's no, they send it back to you. They tell you to go back and do that first, because they want you increasing that to the max, because that's increase in fund balance, which helps offset taxation, and that's their ultimate goal.
I just see it as smoke and mirrors.
It's terminology.
You're probably right with the caps and everything else, but as I understand it, back in the Florio days, everybody was required to do it, were they not?
That's correct.
With change of governors, we got all for that. The other question I have, I know reading our credit reports, one of the things that led to a downgrade was the declining fund balance. Does this help us with that?
On your financial state, on your annual audit, your
The
fund balance,
financials that
this will increase.
the
your
rating
fund balance.
agency looks at,
That's
that would
correct.
help us there.
That's correct. One of the things that when the towns are in trouble financially or whatnot, this is what you use. If your fund balance is going up year after year after year and things are good and money's flowing, I would never tell you to dip into that deferred school tax until you started to see a decline. You know, you're at a point now where, you know, if we use 150,000, this is going to help you replenish that other 150,000 because you took a lot of revenues off of your balance sheet, off of your budget. It's one of those things where if you take the money out of the sewer or put the money back in the sewer, you got to raise it from somewhere else, and this is one of your last options.
Running out of options.
I do have another question. I know December 2010, December 31st, 2010, our surplus was about $800,000. That's the year-end surplus has been declining every year since. Where were we at the end of 2015?
At the end of 2015. In 2015, you utilized $150,000 in your budget of fund balance. You replenished that by $87,000. So.
But we put it in the next year's budget, but where were we at year end?
So what you did is you effectively lost 60,000 from 2014 to 2015.
And we're under,
Putting you at 304,000.
so we went from 800.
And that's prior to deferring the school tax.
Mhm.
We defer the school tax, it'll bring your year-end fund balance number up to 450,000. That's why I'm a little more comfortable using 300, because you're not at the 300, you'll be at 450 at that point.
What do you say?
We're almost out of options. Either we have to raise taxes or we have to do things like this.
But we're also at our cap limit, so there's only so much we can do, right? So.
We need to keep our surplus. We don't want to limit it down.
Can't deplete it
We don't
entirely.
want to deplete it entirely. Because that's an important, something to have. I mean, plenty of emergencies have popped up in 2015. Sinkholes and
Yeah, we can count on more
residents'
sinkholes.
water things and, you know, that money, those were big hits. I know we got reimbursed for the sinkhole, but, you know, what if we didn't? We'd be in trouble. But I have a question, just before we kind of get into all that. I think it's a calculation error, and maybe you can just correct me, but.
Sure.
And it's easier to see like in the Excel spreadsheet, but in the, let me just find it, give me a minute.
There's a new version that you probably.
Oh, maybe you correct
Yeah,
it.
we
Okay.
corrected some stuff.
All right, so, well, let me say it, maybe you'll know right off. It was under rock salt.
Yeah, we corrected.
We corrected that, you had
Yes.
70,000, and then you're adding the
And then,
70
yep,
again,
I
and
pulled
it's
that out.
140.
that.
So I was hoping that would help us out of the hole a little bit, so we already found it.
No. We can go over this.
I've beaten this up several times.
Yeah, I just saw a lot of
Past
zeros, and I
week and a
said, I
half.
don't know how that number got there with all those zeros, so
Nope.
it was just an
So I told you.
Excel, formula. So, okay, so I don't know, maybe there's a few more of those that we can find. That would be nice.
Good luck.
Yeah,
If you find it, please let me know.
okay.
Last year, I think we hit a 2-cent increase,
2.2 cents last year.
2.2 cents. Now we're roughly double that. So we'd have to knock out, I don't know what, 180,000 or something like that to get in the range.
Very close.
And the 100,000 on overtime, that takes us halfway there.
That's it.
And what did you say about the cars?
2 cars.
How? Borrowing or buying? Buying? Under the current budget?
Well, if you could do the SUV outside of it, we'll do
We
that.
can do the SUV
Sure.
outside of it, we buy one in the budget. And then take the rest of what's left, maybe 70,000.
Maybe just do one car.
If I may, on page 404 of my sheet, we were putting $100,000 into capital improvement fund entirely, but there was the air handler in this room here, so that's why the purchase of the air handler is broken out separately, which leaves us with $72,000 in capital improvement funds. If you knew an amount for the vehicle, the police SUV, we could take it out of there, drop it down. I don't know how many projects you're planning on doing, how much capital improvement fund money you're going to need in the next 6 months of the year. But right now it's at 72,000. I think that's something that you should look at. And, you know, if you can get the SUV out of that, we'll drop it down 2 lines to the purchase of the police SUVs.
And John, is the pool, the $39,000 type job, where is that in
That's
the?
in the pool O&E.
Okay, we have another problem at the pool. We're losing 20,000 gallons a day in water, and that lasts about, what, 5 days? Now, yeah, but today it was only an inch and a half, so it wasn't 20,000 gallons.
What's happening for the last 10 years?
Okay.
About 15,000 gallons a day. All right, we got to try to figure out why. All right, I had to bring in divers. Check. So that's $3,700 a day. All right, they're here for a day to find, hopefully they find it. Fix it.
Right.
430,000 gallons.
So.
Well, I don't think that's
plan for
factored in
that?
at this point.
Pardon?
I don't think that's factored in at this point.
Well, you're gonna have to factor it in into the emergency situation, so
And
we're
will we,
hoping that they can get it done in a day.
I'm sorry, how much
Coming
was
in
it?
tomorrow,
How much was it to fix?
$3,700 to come in.
A day.
That's just to look.
A day?
And if it needs a liner, what's a liner cost for that thing?
Well, no, we don't expect to
you
do a
on?
liner, you know, I expect that we'll get it fixed.
At the cost?
If I may, I'm hoping what they're doing is they're coming under and they're gonna check the jets. I got stones coming out, so I'm hoping that they can get in with a camera, okay, and find the break that's not in the main where all the branches shoot off,
Right.
it's all where it shoots, that they can put a balloon in there and shut that off. So I'm hoping that it doesn't go over too much over, you know, $100, over 3,700. But I can't promise you what we're getting into. I'm not even promising you.
Yeah.
So where you plan, I don't know. You know, but water can't keep moving. I mean,
Right, that we have to address that, that's emergency. And
Well-
are we gonna do a street this year, or that's not realistic?
Well, we have some roads in poor condition.
Yeah, we usually get one local aid grant a year, generally, and we have to come up with a local share of that.
Which is a lot, usually a couple hundred.
They, I don't know, we might
Total?
get 150 from the state and then, you know, 200 from us or something like that.
So we don't have that enough here to do one of those even.
Not in here, we don't. Not.
And we don't have any way to do it.
Well, the only other option of how to do that is to do it through a bond ordinance as opposed to doing it through the budget. I'm laying out all
Right,
the options for
Right,
that.
no, that's,
You
yeah.
know, and that's, if you did it through a bond ordinance, you'd have to come up with 5% from the capital improvement fund as a down payment. So if you had to come up with $200,000, you should have $10,000 in the budget to at least give you down payment money.
I'm
And
not
it's-
as allergic to debt as
Well-
maybe the mayor is.
It depends now.
We
If
need
it's a
to-
major
If it's
road,
big-
if it's Red School Lane or something, we have to do that.
You know, our debt statement is not unhealthy.
Right.
We reduce our debt service every year by, what, 145,000, something like that. It's been going down. It's more than that. So our debt situation is really not bad. I think if we had to do a road, I personally, I don't think it would be unreasonable to finance that, yeah.
Yeah. We gotta keep up the maintenance of the roads, because you're only gonna pay for it in the end. If you don't maintain them, we're just gonna get hammered in the end. And Brian can
What I would like to see is a program, we look at all the roads and we decide over 5 years how we're going to go. And then we have to take some debt out to do that, but we've done the sewer, a lot of the sewer infrastructure, and more of it's getting done now. Then start doing the main roads, but have a program.
Right.
I know.
And Brian, I saw you had a sweeper on the horizon. I think the trust is funding them now at a very low interest rate. It's fairly easy. Anything that has to do with pollution, they're funding,
Okay.
including equipment. So maybe we might look into that down the road.
Yeah, how many trucks did you want, Brian?
But I have to let you know one thing.
Please do.
It was down there, not there, out of the sack.
Uh-huh.
My brush, my sidearm, that I cut alongside roads, I do not have one anymore.
It's busted.
You know, it's gone. It's just.
Where'd it go?
They only
Someone
make
take
parts
it?
for
Let's go get it.
1974, they don't make parts for
You have no machine shop? Come on.
it.
So maybe we can hire someone
I've been
to.
borrowing harmonies, they've been coming down, we'll maintain it, but we really gotta look at, I know the tax.
Options.
and stuff, but we really gotta start big things in that. If I gotta have to put here, my way of looking at it, maybe it's a little bit like Joe's. I fully believe on taking out the loans, because people should not have to, let's say somebody moves into the town, they should not have to be burdened with $500,000 loans and then move out the next year and they bought every piece of equipment here. I fully believe in dispensing at cost of years, and even dispense costs.
People who pay it are people who use it.
Yes, yeah, you give back, yeah. I do not believe in one shot.
Right. It's only fair.
You have to be fair to the community.
Right, of course.
I don't know what we hope to get done tonight. We still have to talk about the sewer a little bit, but 4.6 would be what, 110 on a $231,000 house?
Correct. For every penny that you cut off of that 4.6, you're gonna look at about a $23 decrease from that 110.
So I certainly wouldn't want to go any higher than that. If we could, just for the sake of discussion, let's say you held back, we got $100,000 back from the police.
We already got that.
You do a little fiddling here, and you get buying a piece of equipment, you get one of the trucks for the police. And we were about the second one when we looked at that situation.
We need a long-range debt plan. If we can't, we have to.
We can do that. But I don't see it as bad as maybe you do some.
I don't have any different there.
Keep in mind, you have about 800 and, turned off the page, 860,000, almost $870,000 in bond anticipation notes for payments to others for taxes levied. Those are your, they came in with tax appeals. Right? You're still paying that off. That gets paid off to the clip of $217,000 a year. And after this year's budget, there's still 3 years left to pay on that.
Right, but we also picked up debt this year, right? With the,
Yes, you did.
and part of it will be repaid, we hope, if other entities pay us.
Correct.
But,
We're talking about the light? Yeah, but that's gonna be split. Okay. They will.
we're very trusting.
They're our neighbors. Come on, we're gonna be neighbors for a long time, so come on.
Yeah, I would like to see us as part of this effort here to start putting together these 5-year plans. Let's get that and then take over this piece for this year. They don't take long to do. They're pretty easy, actually.
Well, I think we need to work on this promptly because this is due. Like, what's our drop dead date on this thing? I mean, it's June 1st. What do you have time? How much
We're
time do we have?
already into an estimated tax bill.
You're going to wind up having estimated tax bills as it is right now. That's something that Katrina's been researching as to what the resolution looks like for that. And I know she's coming, I think tomorrow night you have a meeting?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. So tomorrow night, I believe I don't want to speak for her, but I think she'll be ready to go with that.
So estimated based on last year?
Estimated based on last year plus an increase. And again, this is kind of her legal jargon.
Yeah.
An increase for this year, but I don't know how they calculate that.
You don't know how they
increase.
determine how they.
No. But once you adopt it, I believe it takes about a month before they could reset that. And again, I haven't dealt with it before, so, and she's doing the research on that, so she's much more in tune with it. That's the only thing that's affecting you at this point, negatively impacting you. You have energy receipts tax of $948,000 as a revenue from the state. Okay, and years ago, that money used to come directly to you, and the state said, well, why don't they send it to us and we'll hold off on it, we'll pay you, and they give it to you over the last 4 quarters. But you're legally entitled to that money. They cannot reduce that as state aid for you. If they had like COMTRA or comprehensive municipal property tax, that they might be able to withhold, but you don't even get that anymore. So now it's just energy receipts tax that you're getting from the state. So for them to, if they even said that we can withhold your state aid, they can't. Because they can't withhold that. Because they would if they could. Oh, we know. What's that? Yeah.
So back to this estimated tax bill thing, do we get a penalty or?
No, if you didn't have this introduced and the county couldn't strike the rate and the tax rate couldn't be finalized, you would be in a position, if you didn't do the estimated tax bills, that you can have cash flow problems because your tax bills wouldn't go out until the county
Right,
struck the rate.
August, right? Yeah.
If you do this, this resolution that Katrina's getting together, once she does that, the cash flow will continue. All right, so you'll still be collecting taxes, then there'll be a true up later on in the year after the budget's been adopted
So how do we collect taxes from the residents in August?
through that, the estimated tax
Oh, and the
bills.
rate they tell us, and then how do we true it up at the end of the year?
It's all gonna get fixed before the end of the year. In all honesty, it just depends upon where your tax rate comes in versus what the estimated
Right.
bills are. That's further down the line.
What's our deadline to avoid estimated tax bills?
It's
Are we
passed.
Really? We're there?
Because even if you had a special meeting in 2 weeks to introduce, that means you wouldn't adopt until mid-July.
Right.
And that's cutting it really close. And that's beyond the window, I believe.
But, I mean, if we do this estimate, I don't want us to delay. I want us to keep working on these budget meetings and get this done.
The estimated is
hammer.
there to keep your cash flow moving.
Okay.
All right, you still have to collect the taxes. You still have to pay the school, the county,
Right, right.
everybody. So you're gonna get it. It's just gonna be a true up come the end of the year.
I think my understanding is the second half is when you have the actual, it's just the first, right?
Correct.
Instead of the act.
The other thing I note, our ratables were flat, right, from last year,
Ratables are flat.
so we don't get any help there. Next year, though, we should see captive plastics and maybe some other things come in.
And one of the things that we have in the budget this year is an increase to your construction code fees as a revenue, because you have 2 major projects going on, and you've already collected well in excess of what they collected last year. And we've anticipated that higher revenue for this year, so that's already factored in.
Another thing I noticed is that certain individuals were given raises in this budget. And we didn't do a salary ordinance.
This establishes your spending plan. Doesn't mean you have to spend it. So if the line item here is inflated, if you think it's inflated for raises, it's dictated by that salary ordinance. The money's just in there
That's what
in
dictates,
case.
not the budget.
No,
That's what happened.
it's not what we're actually paying. It's based on if
Correct.
there's a 2%.
Yeah, if I
Correct.
understand this, it's really only about 10 employees. The Public Works and the police are under contract. So it's our other employees. I think it's 2% factored in there,
It would be Janice.
and it's just a budget.
Right.
Yes, it's just a budget.
I do know that they haven't had a raise in about 4 years, so at least as insofar as putting it in the budget, I think that's not an unreasonable thing to do.
And I hate to add money to this, but we had a fireman clothing allowance. Was that in there? I didn't know where to look, but we passed a resolution like 2 years ago to give an allowance to the volunteer firemen. I
Well,
don't know.
they put up the clothing allowance, but we had the appropriations, they each did receive, each fire department received the same amounts last year that you were giving them, that they have to work.
They
on
had to
those
qualify
items.
for it, right? So that's in here though for future, okay.
Yes, it should be in there, they actually
Okay.
asked for quite a bit more than what we gave them. And they just worked off of last year's without a problem, came in with their clothing allowance and everything, so the decision was to just, continue with what we have from last year, this year, a little bit increase.
Okay.
But yeah, everything that, they're gonna have to work within that.
Okay.
Clothing allowance will be taken first and then,
Okay. But we had an ordinance though. Is that the same one you're talking about? We had-
I was not aware of that, thanks for making me aware of
I
it.
don't know if you know
Yeah.
that here. We had an ordinance that
Yeah, we
they
have an
responded
ordinance
to
in
so
place,
many.
and then at the end of every year, we pass a resolution, to
Oh,
award
oh, okay.
each of the firemen who met certain criteria.
Yes.
So many calls, so
Right.
much training, you know what I mean, a certain amount of money.
Right.
What was it, like 150,
Yeah,
175?
it wasn't a lot. It was
Yeah.
like one.
And I doubt if that's what they put in it, because it's hard to judge,
Okay.
unless they based it on last year, what your total payout was last year, if they could do that.
Right.
But I don't-
Because a lot
I
of them
have to
didn't.
ask them if they included that.
Yeah,
He had given, some paperwork for that.
a lot of them didn't make it last year. It's
No, you
a
have to
pretty
show
high.
a large number
Right.
of calls, yeah.
Okay, so just to make sure, you want to get caught up at the end of the year and looking for it.
I'm trying to, let's see what we have. They did put in, they did put in for it.
Yeah, last year they did, because I remember we paid it out in like January. It was, we were trying to get the right names, and I just want to make sure it was added in for payment, you know, at the end of this year if it comes up.
Yeah, they did put for it. Okay, the fire department. They put in, let's see, 5,000 for emergency funds, if you need them, training 3,000, tool improvement 10,000, maintenance 20,000, personal protective gear 22,550, and then communications 48.
Wow.
Yeah, but they, so 65.
They didn't put that all in last year, did they? Like
I don't have last year's information, but they did work within the parameters of that last year. The decision was made to keep them there because my understanding is also they supplement with donations.
Yeah, they do get donated.
So, and I believe auxiliary assists them with buying food and
Yeah, I
all
think
sorts of
so.
other things. So I think that personally, my thought was that they can work within the framework we give them.
Okay.
My experience is all these people go really high and
See what we give them. That's
Right.
what I'm asking.
Yeah,
I don't know how high they were last year.
well, then I would just make them work within the parameters, and if they need something extra, we have to do it every year. What
Yeah.
coffers are left.
Yeah.
And do some transfers.
Did have one question on the police overtime. We're gonna be covering, basketball games and wrestling up at the school. I'm assuming we get reimbursed by that, or I don't know.
That's supposed to be those part-time guys,
Yeah,
Could
that's
they?
being paid for with Phillipsburg, right?
right? Yeah, those.
Well, they're paying for but the part, I don't know how that's gonna work.
They sharing the OT?
They love it up there. That's the
I want to get
overtime.
them to pay one of the cars. I'm serious, I want to.
I-
Because really, they're gonna really need cars.
Hmm.
They should pay for it. Something to deal with.
I have a question about workers' comp. Did we have, last year it was 106,000, I think.
Of 109,000.
Okay, and then what do we have the right number for this year? I don't know, I thought I saw 92 somewhere.
While Janice looks at it, I don't know if that's part of that moved over into sewer as well.
Okay, that's what threw me
Don't
off,
wanna
like the
speak on
salaries,
her
some was
behalf.
in sewer and some was in, like even Janice, your salary was wrong and I saw part of it was in sewer, so the two numbers together would be your total salary, right?
Yeah,
Splitting it.
yeah, I went about with the paperwork that was submitted to us, and there was quite a large increase for the insurance.
Yeah, Yeah.
So, and that's something we can't do anything about.
Right.
I'm doing an audit currently for them, and I think that a lot of the liability, it depends on how we classify our people. Because they ask you, are they police? Are they DPW? Are they rescue? And there's the catch-all category. These are
Other.
employees other.
Other, yeah.
So I'm making sure that I watch. I think that'll affect it.
There's a bunch of things we gotta look at. I mean, we talked before about the cell phones, 35,000 a year with cell phones.
Yeah, did we just do something about our cell phones? Did we
You're not
just
paying $35,000 a year for cell phones.
That's what's in here, I think.
No,
No? I
No,
hope not. Maybe I
I
misread.
think that's all.
you're paying about $900 a month.
Yeah, you might be talking about the phone bill in general?
I don't know. Let's look. I can look.
No.
Today I discussed that with Jen as well, who goes over the phone, goes very.
In fact, we just saved more money.
I think so.
Again, this year, we redid the cell phones and we jumped down the minutes and we saved even more money.
Right.
phone bills are all together as one. Verizon, the cable that was there at the time, which I think DPW has, and everything's on one bill. And Jen has been asked to look into it and see what we can make a deal with Verizon to take it down, and or possibly go, the cable company might give us a better deal. I've been speaking with them as well, but first we need to get a budget in place, and then we can work on the pieces of bringing down any type of bill that we feel that we can work upon.
Where is the cell
And then
phone
that just
bill?
would be surplus.
Which page, you know?
I'm sorry.
The cell phone bill or the telephone?
Is it under operating?
No.
It's on the telephone, cell phone?
They're all under one,
Oh,
because
telephone's
it's,
under what?
because it's telephone.
Maybe that's what I saw.
Verizon gives us one bill. Let's see, Charlie said. Okay.
Those 35,000, I'll be the first one to hang up.
Cell phone
We're in the
is,
wrong business.
okay. Cellular service is $10,000 a year, 10,500. Local service for everything else is 35,000.
That's when I must have, when I went across, I didn't have a rule. I must have saw it as 35,000.
Long distance is 300, and then broadband is 4,000, which is the new,
What was the 35,000? That was mainline?
I can investigate that and find out exactly what it is, but the number last year charged to it was 34,632.29.
For cell phone or for telephone?
For phone services,
Cell phone was
I have
10.
to figure out, this might be the fire department, this is probably
Yeah, I know, it could be like
first aid,
It could be
this is
internet.
here,
Okay.
this is the TPW, so I mean, you've got a lot of different.
That
Could be our alarms and stuff too.
Yeah, alarms as well, you're right.
That's kind of one thing we probably need to look at. And this time,
Yeah.
see if we can get synergies of savings. Get it
No,
all together.
once we get the budget in place and we continue on our case, we've already discussed looking into numerous utilities and other items to see what we can do about either going out and getting a new, a proposal and a bid, and or making deals with these companies. And like I said, anything that's extra in this budget, might need to be shifted around for whatever charges you have in emergency, or if not, drops down to surplus. This will not make sure it's on.
I do want to ask about rec committee. You know, we're trying to do, music in the park, now that we have the new pavilion up there. And they need some funds to get started, and I can't, what I highlighted.
We had
How much do we have?
10 grand for everything. That was community day,
And community day, right?
whatever, for each, whatever they do
Oh,
with,
each?
are you sure?
It was 30,000 total in the parks and playgrounds line item.
Well,
Where-
LAA was 10,
LAA was 10.
and 10,000 for the recreation program altogether, and then 10,000 for taking care of garden hoses, the fields, and
Yeah,
different
that's
things
as I
that are
remember.
necessity that we have
Yeah.
to maintain.
Now,
So-
they do have some fundraising that they
Yes.
do,
Yes.
and I felt 10,000 was a fair
Yeah.
number.
And LAA needs to earn that money, for lack of a better
They
term,
sign a contract and they
Yeah,
provide
and
services.
perform service for
that's
that,
gonna be
correct?
the agreement. Okay, just so that there's something I know.
No, I didn't get a chance, to, like I said, I didn't have this one real long. Is there monies in here for the various commissions too?
Which commissions?
Environmental,
I think environmental, we have 2,500.
No, 500.
500.
500, which
500.
ones do we have for shade tree? No.
Shade tree had money.
Shade Tree has,
Where are these budgets?
They're in there.
They're in
Just
here,
like the
in your
source.
budget.
It's in there.
Shade Tree has 2,500.
There you go. Environmental.
Environmental Commission, Environmental Board has 500.
They had 5,000 last year.
And
Yeah.
they spent like 250.
Spent 100,
If you read their
158
charter, it's
last year.
very narrow.
Almost $200 I spent last year,
So-
so 500.
My position on that is needs versus wants, and 500 lets them fulfill their mission.
Well, what are other things getting? Shade Tree gets how much? 25? environmental.
Then I wouldn't be adverse to cutting shade tree.
No shade
back.
tree, we have to pay
They
for our
have-
report.
they have an
We can't cut that.
Yeah,
That's,
that's the only thing that's in there for us.
What our
it's just to
forestry
pay for that
plan.
forestry plan. we
Yeah.
can't cut.
Well, that's been around a while though, right?
But we have to do it it's due this year.
Is it?
Um,
Yeah.
who made these decisions? Because I don't remember talking about.
That was my input.
No, that's a requirement, like we didn't pull out.
I think 500 is very low for the environmental commission. They do a lot of stuff, so.
Well, I think,
And they do more than they have to, so.
right,
Well, I don't think so. And
We're
It's
gonna
your
disagree there, and it's gonna come down to a vote.
yeah, I think we need to
a lot to do about it.
stick with the more expensive items. It's needs
Um,
and wants.
What other committees are getting money?
Well, Mayor, right here, if you want to take a minute to peruse what John gave you, this is the overview of my budget.
Yeah.
You want to take a minute to look at the different committees?
Are they on here?
One
I
to
just
four,
got this back
absolutely.
in.
1 to 4, you take a look. You have every department that we've had previously, and
Well, I still don't see. Shade Tree Commission.
Shade tree, bottom of
Shade
page
tree,
1
yeah.
and 4, third one up.
Shade
2,500.
Tree, 2,500. Okay.
Yeah, because we have to pay for the forest.
Right,
plan.
the forestry
Forest,
plan, right.
right.
So we have
and I
to,
think the environmental's,
that's the highest one, I think. The rest-
yeah, no. The trade tree committee, since I've been here, I really haven't seen much come through for any of the committees. And I don't think they're that active in.
Environmental raises its own stuff, but I think it's an important committee.
Environmental or shade tree?
Well, Shade Tree, I think we should merge into one of the other ones. Mayor's letter, there was nothing allocated to produce the mayor's letter, that's required.
It would be posted.
It's not, the mayor's letter is not required, a statement, a yearly statement value is required. And the mayors over the years, one used to give it at the January meeting, one used to mail out a letter. So, you know, it could be either way, it's just a statement of the town, yeah.
And usually
Where it
there's a
stands.
reorganization meeting.
Mhm.
And then that could come to
Mayor Steinhardt used to mail them out.
Yes, he did. I'm just saying, there
I'm
was,
just
and
saying.
Mayor Baker always used
You
to
wanna
give a
save
statement
money?
at the January meeting.
Say it at the January meeting and
Yeah.
post it on the website.
Yeah, and you save a lot of money.
Save a lot, it's postage, that's the
And
norm.
the mayor's wellness committee, I haven't seen anything allocated for that.
I'm gonna vote against it.
They don't need any money. They're gonna walk around the park, right, Mayor?
What?
You're walking around the park, you don't need money for that.
Then you don't need money for community day, that can be raised.
Well, we do,
We
actually.
have hundreds of people show up at the community day. We had 2 people
That we
show
do.
up for the last mall walk, and that's free. So,
Anyway, let's keep moving on to the more important items.
Same old thing.
Well, it's not.
It's a priority. you know.
Priorities. These are-
Where we put in everything that everyone asked for, and John and myself, without John, I'm telling you, this would have been worse than the process in areas. We sat down, John and I, and we just went back and forth, myself making the decisions of what to cut and what not to cut. And I have this at bare bones, salary, wages, and expenses to function right now. And your wish, as well as others,
So we're
to
giving raises to people, but we're not.
No, no. not
nobody
giving raises.
gave raises.
No, no
I thought we
raises.
went over that.
No, no.
How about, well, I think we reinstated a fee for the administrator. Is that considered, that's not.
Administrator,
I don't know, there may be a fee in there, but where that was left is you, as I understand it, and I wasn't even on the board yet, is Beth agreed to forego that, and the vote was for 1 year.
It was very complicated.
Well, I did work.
We're talking about pennies compared to what we
What?
have to do.
yeah, this is.
But again,
$100,000 was-
you're gonna have to deal with that. There's some dollars in the budget, and it doesn't have to be implemented. It'll take a vote of council to implement whatever comes out of that. But
Because I didn't vote for that, but
if we're gonna concentrate on anything, concentrate on the larger items.
Well, yeah, that's the
Because
important.
those items aren't really,
I mean, you tell me you don't want me to send out a mayor's letter.
I didn't say
Even
that,
though-
I said it could be done.
Well, you wanna save money, don't you?
My job is to
Well,
save money.
you sent out letters to people who've overlooked. You tell them you're gonna build them a road.
That
so
was
they-
back in years past. Now we're talking about this year's budget and you want to spend
This is
money.
normal. The letter always went out and I didn't.
Did
do
you
it
send one last year?
No, it's
No.
to save money. But I think
So
that's
let's
how
save
it
money
is.
this year also. Okay. How much of the reserves did we use last year? Can we use reserves this year? I know we don't want to do that, but how much are we going, will we use
Can you
on the reserve?
reserve for,
To pay down our, reserves to pay down our debt service?
you had money in there sitting in capital fund as reserve to pay debt service. You brought it all in last year and there is nothing there. When you, the refunding, we're having a refunding, correct? If there's a premium on the refunding, the premium will sit in the reserve to pay debt service, and that's an item you can bring into next year's budget. But I can't anticipate that because I don't know what the number's going to be. If there's a premium, you know, even if there is one.
But by July, we'll have gone out for all of our funding that we passed the ordinances for, and at that better time, John will probably, John will sort of myself, on what we could do. But as I put it together, I mean, I think we agree with bare bones.
That could be a bullet that we're saving for next year to help pull you out.
How about our surplus?
I have you already using 300 out of your 450. Being that you only replenished 87 last year prior to the 150 from the deferred school tax, I would caution you on using a whole lot more. The idea is typically if you max out on your revenues, you don't max out on your fund balance. You have to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Pretty big number. Like 300.
It is 300.
I don't want to, I'll just throw something out there that I thought of. I know Brian's here. I don't know if he's going to hit me in the back of my head or not. But salt, I mean, have we spent money on salt yet this year? Is that, I don't want to.
Salt is a give or take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right now I'm loaded.
Right.
I'm full. I got a full house, last year.
And when was that? Was that last year's that filled you up?
That was under this year's budget. So,
Oh, it was.
yeah.
Okay.
And that
Alright.
price
And I
doesn't change no
withdraw
matter
that.
when you buy it, right? It's the same
Right,
price all year.
65,
Yeah.
something like that.
It's not like you can buy it in the summer for the winter.
If he,
No,
if it was
doesn't-
paid
I don't have to
for
do it.
in the 16 budget, then no, you can't move that.
Those salt.
The road repair maintenance, so roads. Mhm.
So there's two items under Brian's, actually. You have 40,000 for auto repair, and I marked my page, and 43,000 for vehicle maintenance. So that's two separate things.
What are they again?
You have 40,000 for auto repair and 43 for vehicle equipment maintenance.
Yeah, vehicle equipment is my tractors, my backhoes, plows, all that stuff. Okay. What carries, all right? The other is to keep it on the road, the motors, brakes, that type of stuff. And right now, I know one of our new trucks that we got is gonna be around $5,000.
Just looking at big ticket.
There you go.
Are those numbers like,
Well, it's filled in, so what I'm trying to tell you is what we take.
Right.
That-
right,
that
are
is
those,
built in. I took my budget off, and I made it into about as neat as I can make it. Okay.
were those numbers from last year? And you say the same as last year?
The budget I made, I gave you.
Yeah.
All right.
They haven't approved it yet, they just started myself.
Okay.
They got went over some pieces today, but I
Yeah.
had to cut some out to make it.
I cut some things and added some other ones that I know I had.
I know Brian had his budget in early and provided with some detail. We had some discussion on it, so I really don't have a problem with it.
Don't cut out, real important. I think that goes back to parks and playgrounds, I built in to dig out an oil tank that I found. It's got oil in it.
You found it?
Yeah. Obviously, you should. That can turn into a big ticket item.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know,
I did have one question. We had $2,000 for the tennis court. Does anybody use
spent
that?
already, because it had open.
Oh, we spent it?
Yes,
Okay.
the whole thing, we actually spent, I think, a little bit more
All right.
than 23.
That's on the Parks and Playground, though?
Should be. No, but I haven't spent it, it's like the board has to open, I mean, Dennis is here.
That's done.
I spent nothing without offer of it.
We need to cut big.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, how do you feel, do you feel we have to cut big, or
I mean,
do you feel you can live with 4.6 cents?
I'd like to, if we can knock a penny off, minimum. Can we knock a penny off?
We had such a small increase last year. I think I could work with it.
Yeah, but, you know, this is for the residents.
I mean, if you want to set a target of a penny, that's 86, I'm sure we could
To find
find that.
Let's find 86, because the school's probably gonna hit us, right?
There it is.
It's not as big as you think.
It's its own paper with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? On the
Because I
beginning
got
today?
the budget from them, the numbers. And
What is it?
I left
They
the
went up
word
to
S.
2.9%.
The max they could go?
of course,
Yes.
So if we could not do, I mean, if we could knock a penny off. I mean, obviously, every little bit helps, right? So let's find 86,000. I was hoping we found 70, but you found it already.
I'd rather rededuct it into surplus.
well, you took off the 100,000.
That's what I'm trying to work it in and tell you where you're at
So
right
what
now.
happens, we take the 100,000 off for police, right? So what happens if they have overtime and they need the money? What do we do?
In addition to 200,000, same thing happens to anything else.
The end of the year, we,
Budget.
Well,
Gotta fund it somehow.
You know what, though, I think sometimes some of those construction jobs could be handled a little differently.
I don't think we should have posted.
what is that a state
And
law?
some don't, not really.
Did you see them? Every town has that. I
And
don't know
it's,
what the law is on that.
it's a budget item in every town.
But maybe the.
I think sometimes
here-
for safety, you absolutely do. Sometimes for safety, they're overstaffed.
Paul would be able to tell us, I think it's,
We'd have to sit with
Depending on the
Paul and
project,
discuss
right?
that, I think.
You
Each
know,
job.
some items are going to be reimbursed, like the payroll, the new bank that we have, reimburses 7,000 of the 8,000 out of 9,000. So, and they're getting more services, so we're really working on this thing. Some of the overtime, you know, we wind up paying out police salaries first and reimbursing it from the funds that we receive from the companies. We also have, the school, I have his salary built in here, the cops, but we're gonna get reimbursed for 1.5.
okay.
You know, so I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of leeway in here, but like I said, it's better have it go to fund balance to keep offsetting it than not, but I think we cut the $100,000, that would take us penny off, and then talk about how we're going to fund, maybe Jason could have one
Right,
truck
right,
in the capital budget,
right.
and then, I mean, I don't know, how do you see as our capital budget? Do you see that we could possibly have the money in there, or do we not, or?
well, right now, taking the 100,000 off, it brings you at 3.4 cents. So you went from 4.6 to 3.4. That's the only thing that's changed so far.
Okay.
And then go back and answer your question, what if we run out of money
Right.
in a line item?
Right.
November and December trigger the months where you can do budget transfers.
Okay,
Okay, so let's hypothetically say you leave the salary and wage line items alone and you don't give raises, then you're probably going to have a little wiggle room in each one of those where you can bring things like that, of that nature. As far as capital goes, and said it before, you have to address what your needs are going to be, like you want to do a 5-year plan. You have to address what your needs are going to be. That's step one. And then after step one, step two is how do we fund it? That's it. With this budget, again, the first area that I really pointed you to was that capital section. We have the money in there for the air handler unit for this room, which I might suggest you might want to refund because it's a little humid in here.
I'm pretty
You're cool?
comfortable up
I'm in the
there,
tie and a heavy shirt, so we had $100,000 in there for capital improvement fund. Now you have $72,000 in there for capital improvement fund. Do you need that in capital improvement fund? You would know that better if you had a plan in place of what we want to do as far as roads and how much we're going to fund things. There's no money in there right now for the police SUV. So that's why I said you might want to take the money out of the capital improvement fund and just move it down if you know what the cost is going to be. And then see what you have left, and is what we have left enough in there for us to move forward with it. If it's not, and again, you're dealing with 6 months out of the year now. You're not dealing with 8, 9 months here. So your window on doing projects is kind of closing.
Yep.
All right. So if we just do patchwork to roads, I believe a lot of that money is $130,000 in roads O&E already. If we're just patching roads up, if we do chip and tar, that has to be in the budget. It's not a capital item. It's not something you could bond for. It is I take that back. It is a capital item. It's not something you could bond for if you chip and tar because the lifespan is shorter. All right. So if you're going to permanently do the roads, if you're going to do paving on roads, that should take place via bond ordinance because you're going to need to raise the money through debt. But again, you have to know what you want to do and how you're going to fund it.
I would like to see Baltimore and Redstone get done. That's our biggest problem.
I don't think you're gonna see that in this year, though.
Not this year, but I think it has to be a next year.
But, we
We get the plan
And
together.
we'll have to borrow to do it.
Yeah. But I don't think you're gonna have to face it this year.
So at least get a plan in place this year, maybe we do that much.
Pieces of Red School.
Well, we gotta tackle the worst ones
That's
first.
the original road.
And then maybe we can look into grants, right, with Paul and see what we can find them. Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I think Red School would be a good
I think that would
candidate.
be like a multi-phase, wouldn't it?
You can do that in phases.
And couldn't we do 2 smaller streets instead of tackling that one?
Well, one of the things when you compete for local aid, you'll never get a cul-de-sac funded, because the objective is traffic, not
Right.
cosmetic. So like Red School, I think, would be an excellent, candidate.
Where there's like, what about, second, what's the street we have next on line? First we did?
Second,
Second, yes.
the only ones that have been done in Morris Park, okay, are first and third.
Second's, so
Didn't get
second's
done.
waiting.
And then the
'Cause-
little short roads coming off towards the highway.
Right.
One, I think. All right, the B's up here falling apart. so
Yeah,
bad.
I think,
They-
and the
they-
smaller
they're
ones
so
wouldn't
bad.
cost as much. You could probably.
I don't think I'm thinking back to cobblestone.
Oh, God.
We could talk about that. before,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to put them.
Get a plan in place.
We
Because
just need
too,
the
Red
down
School,
payment there,
that's
right?
huge. That's huge.
Yes.
I like to
Need
do
down
what
payment
we're
money in
doing,
capital.
200,000 of town money plus a grant and do a road a year. That's how you do small roads. Big roads, obviously, you
I'm
have
not
to.
for
because
Yeah.
you're not gonna-
Red School is a big, big road. All right,
So in this budget, if you were gonna finance it, you just need a down payment for something like that. So you wouldn't need to.
Well, again,
But we
I think the only thing you might get done this year is some planning
right,
and maybe some
right.
design.
So we only have
You're not
6
you're
months
not
left.
gonna tackle any of the construction.
And you're not gonna do road work after middle of November anyway, are you? Yeah.
You should be wrapping up.
Too cold, right. So that should be something we should. place.
Maybe we could discuss it in October when we start this process all over.
Oh, joyful, let's do that. All right, what else? Besides the police cars? Overtime, police overtime.
So the plan is the SUV out of the capital and the police car out of the current.
Well, John's gonna look into, we just talked about
We
the
need the two
time,
vehicles.
a new car versus a leased car.
Yeah, I don't think.
We just
can
look at the
get two
numbers.
this year, Mayor, it's just not feasible. It's feasible to put the SUV in the capital because you can't capitalize the police vehicle, just the SUV. And I discussed it with Jason. He's just looking for one. You know, right now, he understands, keep his department moving. I think that's more than, I mean, Brian needs a truck for himself and his, I've been over at his place. It looks like it's like 1950s.
Well, one thing to add to that is that, again, you have 6 months of the year left. If you went out there and leased a police car, by the time you got it and probably the time you entered into the lease, you only have half a year to pay for it, or half a year of payments to go. So what you would wind up budgeting for this year is a half a year of a police car. And if you bought the SUV in capital, that's taken care of in capital. So, but I don't know dollars, I don't know how
And
much
again,
these things are gonna cost you.
The other vehicle, not the SUV, is really his car that fills in when you have a problem with another, vehicle in the fleet.
Okay.
So that's not going to see the 24/7 use that, the other cars do. So maybe you could do something with a lease there.
No, I think what he does, he pushes an older one down to that.
One of those ones that are on the side of the.
We need a horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Well, I think they suggested.
But a half.
Mounted patrol.
We have a bicycle cot? Oh, yeah, I love that.
Only get one wheel.
No. We only have money for one wheel.
Less maintenance.
Well, at least let's look into that. I mean, you're right, it's only half a year, so.
Half a year.
Function this hard.
Right.
We gotta see how much they are. I think he pays $25,000 for 3 cars, right? Or was it 2 cars? Two.
Three.
I had an
Good.
estimate here for $40,000,
25 a year.
including the light
All
bulb,
3 cars?
for the car that Jason would want. So, don't forget as well, if you prolong it, the price probably does go up because they're the car salesman. But, I'm going to look into what's encompassed in the lease. And I can send out an email tomorrow so you can make a decision, but I think that he probably does, sounds like he's in need of 1 car. I wouldn't go 2. And this is,
Right.
and keep in mind also, we speak about the ratings. 2% on the people that would be getting it is nothing, so that has nothing to do with anything in here. I think one big ticket item was taken out that we could, it's good at Jason and
Yeah, thank you.
try and find a car, and put it into the capital.
John, what kind of schedule should we be looking at here to
To do
get
this.
this done? And not be-
Besides, as soon as
Not be
possible.
ridiculous about it.
Tomorrow's our June meeting, so the earliest would be approval in July, right?
Introduction, you can either hold a special meeting in 2 weeks, if you wanted to hold a special meeting to do another budget session. To come back after maybe we got some lease numbers, after you thought about a capital plan. If you want to come back and do a special meeting in 2 weeks, we could do that, and then be ready for introduction, the first meeting in July.
So maybe the 15th of June? That's
Pretty much in the middle.
That's the 3rd Wednesday, because I can't get anything in the paper till the 10th.
Right.
And then you gotta see if everyone's here, right? Because we can't do this.
Oh, I know, because there's no,
Right.
it's like vacation
Right.
month,
June 15th at 7 o'clock.
so we kind of have to do.
When's
make
graduation at
decisions.
the school? That's the last day of school.
That's the 15th.
Isn't it the 15th, so
Not the middle school.
the middle school?
We're all invited to that.
Yeah, we may not. be.
Okay, well, let's do it the 16th.
If we do it the 15th, we do it. the 15th.
Right, we do it the 15th, we do it the 15th. But
That's only the intro.
that's true.
Well, are we introing that night, or are we going to have
Well,
another
meeting,
work
an
session?
intro in July, and then approve it.
Another session, then intro it.
Another session, introduce early July, adopt early August.
At this point, it doesn't matter, right?
I don't see the harm in,
I've already got that in.
I don't see harm in that.
So we have to do a June meeting at some point.
All right,
And you
so
heard the
are we
big
gonna
things
call
we
for the
can-
15th then?
I've taken,
One more.
I'll recap before
Yeah,
we,
try.
All right.
You have to email everybody.
Yeah, I'll hear it and tell them that we're gonna schedule a June 15th budget meeting again. Right, budget. Workshop.
we have. We need to reintroduce. Introduce.
7 o'clock.
It's a simple majority.
And then in July, we need, you know, just thinking, what are we
That's
gonna do?
introduction,
Is
July.
that what it,
Simple majority.
simple majority of
Okay.
the year,
It's
right?
weird because simple majority for introduction and adoption.
Meaning, out of who's,
3 out of 5
okay. But what if the 5 aren't here? That's-
28 days from the
How
time
many
of
of the
introduction.
full board.
From intro to adoption as
You
well.
have to wait 28 days.
So that,
Yes,
What's it,
so,
August?
here's graduation on in the middle school.
So what do you want to do?
You know, the
But that's
15th,
a budget meeting.
that's a budget
Doesn't matter.
meeting.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
If you want to tell us where you want the numbers, I mean, I don't know how much more Janice is going to be able to do, but right now, if we're at 3.4 cents,
Yeah,
and,
down from 4.6.
yeah, it's your guidance that we need at this point of what you're comfortable with, or,
I just didn't get a number on the
Yeah.
police car and his car. And,
Those are the big
Tune
ticket
that up.
items.
On his car and the police car, okay.
and one other thing I can do, because I know at the end of the year, you had $68,000 in capital improvement fund. I know you passed a few ordinances earlier this year. I'll look and see where your capital improvement fund is. And if you're comfortable with that number as of June 15th, then you might not need a capital improvement fund increase this year. I'm going to give you that option as well, and we'll go from there.
All right, take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Thanks for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Not easy.